What are the things that you, as the shop owner, as the CEO, as the queen bee, head honcho, visionary of your business, what are the things that you should be focused on going into 2025? What matters? What's important? Where do you start? How do you know what to focus on? And that's what we're going to talk about today. This is our third annual What Shop Owners Should Be Focusing On in 2025 episode. And it's not trends. This is the business focus where you, as the CEO, as the visionary, as the head of your business, these are the things that you can bring to the table and help make your business a healthy, happy, life first, beautiful, viable, profitable business. So let's get into today's episode. Running a retail business doesn't have to be so hard. Welcome to the Creative Shop Talk Podcast, the go-to podcast for creative shop owners, studio owners, and independent retailers. I'm your host, Wendy Batten, retail business coach and mentor. Each week, I'll share simple, proven business strategies, inspiring stories from fellow retailers, and advice from industry experts. Together, we're going to work to find the success you want from your retail business with more profits in your till and a little more joy in your life. Okay, my friends, it's Wendy, and I am excited to share this podcast episode with you. It is one that has become very popular. It's probably not the most downloaded podcast last year, but almost. It's become one of our top podcast downloads. So it's popular. And I've had people ask me if we're doing it again this year. So I wanted to share with you some of the things that I really think that we, as the owners, as the CEOs, this is our job. This is our role. Put that CEO hat on. If you don't actually have a CEO hat, you can imaginarily put one on right now. I want you to listen to this through the lens of your CEO role, your role as the CEO. What I'm going to share with you today, these are not just my thoughts and I think this might be happening, or this is research. We've researched, I've been paying attention. We've been doing a lot of research in all over the world, actually, in other areas and with associations. I've had the privilege and the pleasure to sit at tables with future thinkers, with other retail coaches in the world. I have an opportunity. These are the things that we see as what we need to focus on, again, moving forward. Where's the puck going? Where is retail going? We all have theories and ideas and thoughts about what's going to happen every year. This is the same conversation we have every year. But so what I'm going to share with you today, I guess, all comes from research. It's not just willy-nilly conversation. So I wanted to share with you, I think I have 6 things to share with you today. And I want to remind you, as we're listening to these, and be open and be curious and think about it through the lens of what could be different in your business. So, and I say that because each one of these areas that I want to help you focus on is important. And sometimes, and I am guilty of this, so if you are guilty of this, I want you to just acknowledge you're guilty of it. But sometimes I listen to this and I'm like, oh yeah, we're already doing that. Oh yeah, we got that covered. But I want you to think about how we could cover it differently. So that's my 2 cents as we get started. If you've been listening to the episodes leading up to this episode, and I hope you had a wonderful Christmas and a holiday and New Year's, and I know we're excited about what's happening now moving forward. But I've had lots of Inner Circle members from my Inner Circle program on. We've had Lisa and Jasmine and Cindy, and they've all been sharing a very common thread, of a lot of the retailers that I work with and I have the privilege to work with, are that they are trying to build a business that's not just, selling widgets. It's a life first, happy, beautiful business. And that is where I come from. That's where my expertise comes into play. I see the vision. I don't think that we need to be running hustling and grinding and all of those things. I really do think that if we play our cards right, and if we are intentional about running our businesses, we can have a very happy life first. And what I mean by that is that it supports your life, your team's life, your brand, your city, your town. It's a life first. It works all around. It works for everybody. So I'm going to jump in. This is probably going to be a bit of a long episode because we have so many things to share. And I hope you'll stick with me. I also want to remind everybody that we have a retailer reset. It's a vision to action intensive on January 14th. This is new. This is a new program. It's a 1-day, 4-hour get it done session. We are doing that on January 14th. It is a small group. You can go to my website or check on the show notes here. If there are still seats available, when you're clicking on it, it will show up. If not, it may be full. We are anticipating for this session to sell out. And the reason is we are going to deep dive into creating that business model for you this year. Like, what does this year look like? We're going to audit, we're going to assess, we're going to move forward. We're not going to be winging it this year. It's not a yearly planning session. It's going to be more dedicated to making sure that the actions every quarter are happening. So this quarter, like what's happening in the next 90 days. So we're calling it a retail reset. It's an intensive course. I mean, intensive meaning it's not going to be intensive. It's going to be an intensive time frame. We're going to do it in a 4-hour day together. We're going to get it done. So if you're interested in that, you can check my website at wendybatten.com. You can just do / and it's work with me, and that's where we have all of our programs and services available. Or you can just connect with me on DM me on Instagram, and I will let you know. I love continue our conversations on Instagram. By the way, I get a chance to speak to you. If you haven't connected with me on Instagram, please feel free to do so. I love chatting over there. Okay, let's get on with the show, my friends. All right, so our first focus, the first thing that retailers should focus on is your business's stability, the health of your business. And I was trying to figure out how to share a visual around this. I'm very visual. If you've been listening for a while, you know I like to explain. And the best way I can explain on what I mean by having a stable business is to think about it like a 3-legged stool. So your first leg on your 3-legged stool, because if one of them's off, right, it's kind of wobbly, and we don't want you to be wobbly. So in order to have a stable and healthy business, you have to have all 3 of these legs healthy. So the first leg is understanding that you're operational and you are profitable. And that sounds like a lot, right? And I know it is a lot, but really, how profitable is your business? Where's your money going? Are you managing your margins and inventory? This is crucial. This is like a really important leg on the stool. So what do you need to do to make your business healthy and profitable? And what do you need to pull personally from the business? So we're talking like bottom up sometimes. What I see happen is we run the business and we hope money comes in, and then we spend money and we keep the leftovers. And that's not healthy. That's not a healthy business model. We need to make sure you understand what you need to take. And I know we've covered this on the podcast before, but are you pulling what you need to pull from the business? Are your operation costs covered? Are your margins covered? Like, understanding what those numbers look like is your like unfair advantage. And you're going to be rock starring it if you get that. I have to understand how profitable your business is. And this falls into so many areas. It's in pricing, it's in buying, it's in understanding, where are you spending money? Are you overspending? Are you underspending? Where are you investing? And when I say underspending, there's lots of you out there, lots of retailers out there that are underspending in certain areas and overspending in other areas. You are investing in not investing in the right tools maybe, or the right help or the right support, and you're spending money on things that don't make money. And I see this all the time. But you need to know your numbers. So what do you need to do to make sure that leg is really helpful? And understanding, you don't want to just be pushing string, as we like to say. Like, pushing string means you're just money in, money out, and you're just it's all over the place, right? So literally nothing else matters if your business isn't viable, profitable. It is one of the most important legs. Your business will topple on that three-legged stool if your business is not profitable. So I want to make sure that you understand that you have to make sure that that is a priority. So, and making sure that it's serving you. And serving you can be either by a paycheck, or I have a client who's building a business and she's using her business to build assets. She's buying another building. She's using her business. Some portions of her business are going to help build another building, or to buy another building, so that she's building assets for her future self. I have another retailer who bought a building in her town and completely renovated it. So like that's been part of her business viability. Completely renovated the building, so it'll be a huge, beautiful asset for her community and for her. So you have to understand, do you need a paycheck? Are you building an asset? Like, what is the purpose of your business and how is it serving you? And how healthy, like how is our business viable? And understanding and making sure it's viable. This is a missed opportunity, not educating yourself on the numbers if you haven't. So understanding where your money's going, why it's going, where it's going, what's an expense, what are we investing in, and what are we spending money on just for no reason. So understanding that healthy leg, so part of your three-legged stool. The second part of your stool, the healthy part of having a stable business, is making sure that we have our customers. We have customers. And so customers sound like pretty obvious, right? But we also have to be really paying attention to the changing needs of our customers' changing needs. What do they need? What do they want from us? It's not about us, right? It's about them. What are they buying? What do they need for, like, how are we serving them, and how are we reaching them, and all of the things, like really narrowing in and focusing in on our customer and being very clear on who that person is and how we can serve them. So, and the third leg is your team and yourself. So understanding that third leg is also important. The stability of that third leg is making sure that you are happy in this business and that it is serving you, making sure that your team are satisfied and happy and trained well and part of the culture and understand what we're doing, and everybody's on the same page, and the mission, they understand the culture and the mission, and the vision is there. So we need those three strong legs. We need the people, yourself, your team. We need everybody to be very strongly, again, trained and satisfied and fulfilled and on board. And you need your customers, and you need to have a profitable, viable, healthy, financially healthy operations, like running. Those three legs are what make a stable business. So think of it like a stool. I'm literally sitting here, you guys. I'm sitting here now with my hand on top of my fist, like as if I'm building a stool. This is crazy because I'm literally talking to a mic. But anyhow, so I just really I hope that visual helps you. And if anything, if you don't listen to anything else I'm talking about here, and actually the rest of the things we're going to talk about today are going to support those things, because that is key. Those three things have to be covered or your business is going to topple, right? So we have to be strong and healthy. So that's really important going into this year. Okay, number 2. The focus this year, and I am going to be saying this all year long in this podcast. I've been saying it to my clients, my private clients, my mastermind members. I've been saying this to our inner circle members. The focus has to be on retail excellence. Mediocrity is not going to cut it. If your retail business and brand is meh or not awesome, it is not going to cut it. So you have your stability, you have your financial, all of that has to be taken care of. But your business itself, it needs to be exceptional. You need to have an incredible business model at this stage. This is what's selling right now. And that means different things for everybody. I want you to just understand that you need to pay attention to the things that your competitors don't. That is your unfair advantage in this next year going forward. Doesn't mean fancy, doesn't mean luxury, it does mean exceptional. So paying attention to the details and remembering that it's not about you. It's not you, like, it's not about you, it's about those people, that the customers, right? To reinforce that, what do they need? Like, what do they need from you? What hours, your products, your services, how you're serving. When you think about, and I love to refer back to the Disney way. When you think about the Disney way, the front of house and the back of house, like they both have to run with excellence. So environment is really highly important. So the environment and how you are achieving retail excellence in how you are treating people. Like, what are they experiencing when they're at your shop? Everything matters. Everything matters if you want to run an amazing business. So how you answer the phone and how you clean the toilets, I mean, everything. So the products that you're serving, every area needs your attention and needs to be better than your competitors. That's what I'm trying to say. So how are we better than our competitors? We go area by area through our business. And this is one of those things I think everybody's like, yeah, we do that. We're fine. We're good. But do you? Right? Do you? So focusing on improving your business, your experiences, the quality of your business. And when I think of this, I think of understanding, like the quote from Seth Godin: people don't buy just goods and services, they buy relationships, stories, and magic. So you need to be creating the magic. So what do you need to make sure that your business stands out and that has that retail excellence? So I think of retailers like Cindy, who was on the podcast. We just had her on the podcast a couple of episodes ago, from Poco Inspired. And again, I've quoted her a few times where she said, if we're not the best part of somebody's day, we didn't do our job. That's retail excellence. That's something she works on really hard with her team and her, like, everybody. So that's one thing she does. I have another interview with Kim from Polka Dot Press. You'll hear her episode coming up soon. She tells her staff that they have to be like Disney. Actually, to tie in the sort of the Disney thing, they, like, when you go to Main Street Disney, everything is perfect, everything is awesome, and they don't see garbage and messy, and like, the feeling. And if you haven't been there, that's how it is. It's like everything's lovely. That's retail excellence. That is what we need to do in our shops. That's her minimum viable product in her shop. Like, everything has to feel excellent on the front of house. Might be a little messy in the back, or you might be able to but you are on stage, right? When you're at the front of the house, when you're serving customers, when you are explaining things to people, when you're welcoming customers in, you're on a stage. You have to be that stage front, right? So that's retail excellence. And there's lots of other ways. And of course, we don't have time to go through all of the retail ways to be retail excellence. This is something that we talk about inside my programs. The Retail Inner Circle program is probably one of the ones that I talk about it the most, and in my mastermind groups. But I do want to mention that what you can ask yourself is, what area of our business can we increase our attention to detail? So what area of your business can we increase our attention to detail? So how we welcome people, how the shop looks, how we merchandise, how we answer the phone, how we clean the toilets, where can we level up? Even just 1%, be better than our competitors. We have to think in retail excellence. We just can't be meh. And I'm sure you agree with that. I'm hoping you agree with that. That is the only way to survive. And I mean, what does that look like for you? What does that look like compared to your competitors? Okay, focus number 3. We need in 2025 to focus on creating customers for life. And what I mean by that is, people right now in this era, in this wherever we are in right now, in this time and place, and this has been proven, and we're seeing this everywhere. We're seeing studies on this, we're hearing reports, we're hearing all the things. They want to be seen and understood. Your role as a retail expert, as a retail owner, as a small business owner, is to create that. And if you succeed with that, you will create customers for life. So we call this the wow and delight side of our sales strategy when we talk about our sales funnel and what I teach in my sales accelerators. Specialty shops like yours can create customers for life by serving with integrity and actual interest in your customers' success for like using your products, with being knowledgeable, with being passionate about what we're doing, with caring. I mean, these are not unrealistic or unattainable goals. So making sure you and your team are on board with serving customers and having their best interest of the products and making sure that they are succeeding in what they need from you. You can earn your customers' loyalty. And this is hospitality. We talked about hospitality last year. I will talk about hospitality moving forward. When somebody walks into your house for dinner, you're happy to see them. You take your coat, you show them around, you get them a cocktail, you tell them to sit down, you serve them a lovely dinner, you're seeing them, you're listening to them, you're having conversations with them. This is hospitality. That's what hospitality is in retail as well. Maybe you're not serving them a cocktail, but the same idea. And again, this is something maybe you're like, oh yeah, we do that. But do you? Like, really pay attention to how can you excel in this. This is also building customers for life is taking an interest in your clients. I have a sort of funny story. Like, this is 2025. I just ran into a client recently from my shop. My shop has been closed since 2019. My store has been closed since 2019. And I have a client I ran into in my little town here. And if you know my story, like, I had a studio here, but this was a client from my other town, from the first store that we franchised, and from my first store that I originated in 2012. And she saw me and she's like, Wendy, she saw me in the parking lot. She came running across, like, she's still following my journey. She's still happy about like what I'm doing. This is a customer for life. She actually still shops at Lisa's store, the Painted Pineapple, which has roots back to my original store. But I just want to say that's customer for life because she felt seen and understood, and I helped her and, helped her do things. And that's possible for you. It doesn't mean we have to be friends with everybody. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is pay attention to their needs. Pay attention to how you're serving them. What are you doing inside your shop? So your question is, what strategies do we need to have in place to create customers for life? What are we doing? Even if you're doing it accidentally on purpose, like, what are we doing already that's working? And what are we doing with intention? What is how are we doing this? And what do we need to do to make it just a little bit better? So it's fun. Like, I still have coaching clients. I have coaching clients that have retired from retail or sold their shops, and I'm still coaching with them in their newest endeavor. And I feel like it's because I understand, and I know their business, so I know what they want to achieve. I see other people, like other retailers, building customers who, like, they're there through all the changes. They're there through any evolution of your business. I'm thinking of Amy Check right now. She is one of our Level Up Mastermind members from Schoolhouse Salvage. And Amy has, changed her business model a couple of times and has a heavy focus right now on both in-store and massively online. But as she's made changes, she's moved locations a couple of times. The people follow her. Like, she has customers for life. She knows them by name, and they love her. They banter back and forth. There's a camaraderie. There's an understanding. Amy knows exactly what to buy for her customers and who will buy it and how much they'll pay, and all of the things. Those are customers for life because they feel seen. She's forever, she knows them by name. They know her. They understand. They're asking about her kids. These are things that matter in your retail business. Again, everybody does it different, but what are you doing in your business? So your question is, what strategy do we have in place to create customers for life? So what are we doing, either accidentally on purpose, but making sure that we're doing it with intention? So I want you to think about that. Okay, focus number 4. Focus number 4 is really, I think, really important to listen to me. Come back to me now. If you have left and you're daydreaming and you've gone off or you're doing something else, I really want you to listen to this one. Focus number 4 is being a superhero in your community, being a community advocate. So this is you looking beyond your shop door. This is like you looking into your community. This is you not always not always thinking about, I'm trying to figure out how to say this without sounding funny, but not always just thinking about how things affect your business, although you're always going to think about how things affect your business, but how like, what are you doing to be a town cheerleader? What are you doing to be a neighborhood? And when I say town or neighborhood, I mean, some of you live in small towns, or maybe you live in a small town, or maybe you live in a big city, but it could just be your neighborhood corner. So take this for your area. But how is your shop even an asset to your community? Like, what part does your business play in the community that you live in the neighborhood, in the town that you live in? Like, is your shop cute? Is it like aesthetically pleasing in your town? Is it a gathering place? Is it, thinking about how your shop and what its role is and plays in the overall feel of your town? And how does your shop, your brand, the brand that you're building, how does the things that you do, how you market, maybe if you are out doing PR or out talking about your shop, how are you bringing that back to talk about your community as well? So being the person in your town that people are proud to say, this shop is in my town, being the person who is proud of the town, like saying, I love having a shop in this town, like both ways, it's really an important thing to be thinking about this year. So when you market, are you mentioning even the other shops in your town? And by that, I mean, that's more collaboration, that's conversations. But I'm looking at lots of shop owners that are like little islands. They're acting like a little island. And I see this a lot. They're like cool little shops, and they're just like all alone in they're just a little island in their cute little town, or even if it's not a cute town, in their towns. And I also see retailers doing the opposite. I see retailers who took their island shop and they have expanded, and they are trying to build community awareness of their town. This is only going to benefit you. This is only going to benefit you all the way around. And people want to be part of something cool, of like either a movement about your town, or just happy that they see you sharing about the town. So you have to be a community advocate. Some of my clients that I see doing this, I'm thinking of like Jeff in Mount Holly, who has a vintage nest, and we had the privilege of hosting our mastermind retreat in his town, and it was like a smaller town, like Main Street, and before everybody was little islands. It seemed like everybody's little islands. Like it just seemed everybody was sort of doing their own thing. And then slowly there was a community build. And then there was, and when we were there, we saw everybody collaborating, and it was so cool to see. And so, I loved seeing that, Jeff was doing that. And even like when he's out for dinner, across the street at the restaurant or the microbrewery, he's talking about them and being a community advocate. I see Millie and Adam Blackwell. They are in Greytown in New Zealand, and Millie owns Mrs. Blackwell's bookshop, and her husband owns a bike shop across the street, and Millie's in our Level Up Mastermind group, and together Adam and Millie are bringing attention to Greytown, and they're doing it with building, like they built a community marketing group, trying to help facilitate using their skills and using what they have to help build that. So we can build community events, we can get involved. I'm thinking of Jess from Chrisette. She is building, like, her town was kind of an island, literally. She was an island in a very like quiet town. And just recently we had a meeting, and she again is in our mastermind group. I just had a meeting with her, and she said, oh, we have this great community event happening, and it's a big deal now, and it's, I don't know, it was like a stroll, like a town stroll or something, and all these businesses. Well, that's because Jess got involved with that. Like, she kind of started the ball rolling with that, and got, it was frustrating at first, and I understand sometimes it's frustrating, but don't be an island. So if you cannot be an island and you can include your community, I'm laughing because I'm thinking of like Lisa. We just did the podcast episode with Lisa, and how she is creating she's now opened 2 shops in her town, in this, this cute area in town, and she's bringing people, and she's a community caregiver. She's a community advocate. She's also got a studio now. She's doing workshops and doing all kinds of fun things. Thinking of Louise from Vischer Ferry Mercantile, like All kinds of retailers are doing this. Lee in Uxbridge from the lemonade stand. I'm just like, I'm thinking of people, retailers who are not just waiting for the town to do something, or not just waiting for their town to be noticed, and they're making their town noticeable. So don't be an island. And I feel like this is a big thing for 2025. So that is one focus. Okay. Number 5, understanding that your role is to be a confident leader. You need to be a very confident, positive force in your business. And this is going to take mindset, because it's hard sometimes, right? It's hard to always be positive about the business, but that is your job. Your job is to believe in what you are creating, to take the right actions, to get the support, take the courses, seek the advice. Like, you need to grow. Learners are earners, and growth only comes like at the pace that you invest in yourself. And if you're winging it, I want to really encourage you to just stop it. Stop winging it. This is a huge growth opportunity this year. And I say this every year, but I see this every year. The businesses that are winging it, you get more tired. You get tired when you're winging it. And you might still see success. You might still see a wonderful business. You might still be getting, where you want to go. But could it be better? What do you need to do? How are you being super clear and super organized around your role as CEO? Where are you spending your time? What are you focused on? It's just, are you working with strategy? Are you putting strategy behind? Like, there's so much opportunity. And when I see people, lovely human retailers, just lovely humans who take action and become confident, and they step into their role of leadership, that's when I see retailers see the results they want. And it doesn't matter how big your shop is. It doesn't matter if you're like a one-person show, although I'm going to tell you right now, I don't believe in one-person shows. You need to have people. Or if you have multiple stores, really staying grounded and focused in your role as a CEO is important. And that includes doing things like watching your energy and your mindset and understanding how to serve and keep your boundaries and all of the things. And I'm going to leave it at this, but I just really want you to understand. So my question for that I would be asking myself is, what do I need to do to elevate my leadership skills this year? Because it matters. Back to the retail excellence, back to the stool that we talked about at the very beginning. Like, what do I need to do so that my stool is so freaking strong? Like, it's just strong, and I'm good in all of those areas. And it's just confidence and feel good energy. And it matters. So hopefully that is helpful to you. Okay. Our last one is number 6 is positioning your brand and your business to be seen as the go-to. So I really think this is an important focus in 2025. So this is visibility. This is what this means. This is, now we've got the products, we've got the strong stool, we've got customers, we've been paying attention to our numbers, we're profitable, we have a viable business. But now what? We need to make sure that our business is positioned to be the go-to. So we're working through our community, we're working on our, we're doing all the things. And this does take marketing strategy. So visibility is super key. You have to be known in your community and beyond, especially, and this was something I wanted to add. We could have added so many things, but as a side note here, I do think that it's really important to review, and maybe this should be number 7, is to really pay attention to your revenue streams, how money is coming into your business. And that, I really think in 2025 should also include e-commerce. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to go back to positioning your business to be seen as the go-to. But what I meant by e-commerce is having both legs, like both of those things. And that is actually, when you talk about one of those stools and profitability and viability in the stool leg, but having a viable business, you need to understand your revenue streams. So anyhow, that was a side note, as Wendy does, right? Okay, as I said, number 6 is positioning your brand to be seen as the go-to, to be known in your community, to be just to be the place, right? And where I see a lot of retailers not failing at this, but it's not, again, it's not what you're doing wrong, it's what you're not doing. Maybe that's something that we like to say a lot, but you're not being a big deal in your own community. Stop playing small. And I see this a lot. It's like, ugh, I hate talking about myself. Ugh, I hate talking about myself. Well, you're not talking about yourself. You're talking about your brand. Brag up your brand. If you are proud of what you are building, if you want more people to know you exist, if you want to be known by other people, if you want what we call lurkers in our visibility strategy playbook, I guess, you have to stop being meek and you have to stop being quiet. And this is something that a lot of retailers do. They, we post on social media and we do little things, but you need to be like louder. You have to be louder. You have to be in more places. If anything, I need to remind you that social media is not the place that you should just be growing your social. Like if you lose your social media tomorrow, I have had and have shared this on the podcast that many clients, have lost, and this always makes me sad, I've lost like hundreds of thousands of followers because they lose their social media accounts. And it happens every day. Every day. You don't own those people. So we have to make sure that we are building in multiple places, that multiple people know where we are, and we're reaching people in multiple ways. So PR, this is public relations. It's understanding that you need to be working through a visibility strategy, which is something that I teach in my Retail Marketing Accelerator course. It's something we teach inside the Retailer's Inner Circle. We have an entire program around visibility. I have a 3-part series here on the podcast that's super popular, and we'll share that in the show notes. But visibility is important. And a lot of that does come from I'm too tired, or I don't have the bandwidth, or or whatever it is. So I want to make sure that PR is important to you, and I want to make sure that you have a full visibility strategy in place. And I'm thinking about some of our clients who have invested money into places that their customers can be seen, like even social proof. So getting into magazines, getting into, getting an article, even if you pay to be in that article, that is like, wow, look, they're in that fancy magazine, they're there, right? They're like, that's really cool. Getting on TV, like pitching yourself to media. This goes back to your being excellent in retail. Tell people you're excellent in retail. Show them. Be visible. I have another client who has actually, I don't want to say used, that sounds weird, but she has asked and is now partnering with another store in her community, and that store is a pretty big deal. Like it's got a really big reputation, and now they're collaborating together on a project, and that's given her like instant oomph in her town. They're like, wow, she's working with that company. Whoa, they're working together. She must be equally awesome. And she is, but before she'd never really told anybody. So what do you need to do? And that's your question. What exactly are we doing to position ourselves higher this year? What are we doing to position our brand? And I really want to urge you to think about that this year. I really want to urge you to think about being louder and being more visible and being more awareness, having more people know who you are, because you have this beautiful retail business. You're a confident leader. You have your stool all stable and you are running this awesome business. Tell people about it. So those were my 6 with a little dash of 7 about revenue streams and multiple revenue streams. Things that I'm very confident. I don't just think, I'm very confident that if we pay attention to these 6 areas of our business, that you will see a phenomenal business year ahead. And businesses change. We need to change. We need to make sure we are evolving and changing, and it never stays the same. I've been in, self-employed for 1,000 years. I've been self-employed for almost 3 decades now, which is crazy. And it's always changing, always evolving. We have to be resilient. We have to make these changes, but we have to step into our power. We have to take ownership. We have to not whine and look back and say, oh, if only, or even like whining or complaining about what's coming or this or that. Like, that's not doing anybody any good, right? So what can we focus on that will grow our business? What can we focus on? It's these things, these powerful areas, making sure your customers feel seen, having a really stable financial, like understanding your financials, understanding what you need to do. It's all possible for you. It's all just a matter of sitting down and focusing on these areas of your business. I know it's a long podcast. I want to thank you for listening. I hope you found this one helpful. This has taken me a long time to record this podcast episode simply because I feel like I could talk about other things. Like we could just keep going on. I have all kinds of things to share. And so if you would like to continue the conversation in any way, shape, or form, or if you disagree or agree or anything with any of these, I would love to hear from you. Let's continue the conversation. If you're one of my programs, we can continue the conversation in our private platforms. If you're not in one of my programs, we can continue the conversation inside my Instagram messaging. I would love to hear from you. I love discussing and having conversations with people, but I also really want to encourage you to make sure that you're taking the reins of your business this year. What are you doing to take the reins and really pay attention? I want to make sure I re-invite you to our January 14th retailer reset. I want to remind you that that's available for you. Our Retailers Inner Circle program. If you need support, we have multiple ways of supporting you. And from this podcast that we do for free right through to a one-on-one coaching. Although at this time, I think my coaching is booked up right through first quarter, but not in our mastermind or inner circle, or there's other ways. Anyway, I'm not trying to pitch you. I'm trying to support you. This is what I'm here to help you with. And I'm just wishing you a wonderful 2025 ahead. So focus on these things. Let me know in the comments. Let me know in the DMs. Let me continue the conversation. I'd love to know what you're focused on or what you found the most helpful of these 6 focuses for you and your beautiful retail business. All right, my friends, don't forget to leave a review if you haven't left one yet. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't done that yet as well, so you'll get our podcast episodes coming every week. We've been pretty diligent. I don't think we've ever missed a podcast. I think we missed just over Christmas, we took a little break, but we have weekly podcasts here for you on the Creative Shop Talk podcast. Thank you for listening, my friends. I think you're amazing and what you're doing is amazing. And I'm so grateful to have me in your earbuds and that you're letting me be in your earbuds. So have a fantastic week. We will see you next week. Here's to 2025. Well, that's it for this week's episode of the Creative Shop Talk podcast. I'm so glad that you were here to join us this week, and I hope you found value in what we're sharing here. I want to remind you that our website has all of the show notes. You can find it at wendybatten.com/podcast. Everything that you need to hear about today's podcast is there. Also an opportunity if you need to reach out to me. If I can support you in any way whatsoever, please feel free to reach out. So thanks for joining us. Please leave a review, subscribe if you can, and never miss an episode. We hope to see you back here again next week. Thanks, my friend. Have a great week.